Welcome everyone to the Open Source Forum 2023. Yay, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Lots of people in the room, that is very nice to see. Our Open Source Forum used to be a closed door affair for only our members. And this year we opened it up. We're really glad to see you, many new faces in the room. That is a wonderful thing. Just been ended up some announcement. We are welcoming the emerging talent from the Academy Gold program and also from our summer learning program at the Academy Software Foundation. Welcome to you. And we're going to look at the program, but remember that at the end of the day today, we're having a cocktail reception at Fanny's restaurant downstairs, courtesy of the Linux Foundation. Yes, so we'll see you there later tonight. But first, I'm going to go into, for about 30 minutes, on the state of our Academy Software Foundation. And I'm going to go, those of you who are members have seen some of that information, but some of you are perhaps new to this, so we're going to go through some of the basic and then some of the latest data and information. So here is the mission of the Academy Software Foundation. It's been there since the beginning. It was carefully crafted when the foundation was created. This time around, I kind of divided it in like a poem, you know, in phrases and verses that looks a bit like a song. So in our previous meeting this morning, our board meeting, I mentioned that perhaps if there were a musician in the board, we could make a song for one of the next meeting. And while we were talking, our board members that were on the Zoom between themselves ran it through ChatGPT. And I will show you the result of that at the end of my presentation. So that's our mission, neutral forum for the motion picture industry engineers and develop software and provide a platform for common development in our industry. Before I go into the details, I would like to invite a few people that were instrumental in the creation of our foundation, and I would like to start with Andy Maltz, Senior VP at the Science and Technology Council at the Academy of Motion Picture Art and Science that hosted the whole investigation that led to this. Andy, you want to say a few words? Andy Maltz.
Thank you, David. And I put my talk into ChatGPT. It's going to be haiku, okay? But I'm actually going to follow the Academy's recommendation to Oscar winners and keep my comments to 45 seconds or less. So first, I want to welcome everybody here. It's really exciting to be here for the third Open Source Forum at the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures, and I hope you all get a chance to walk through the exhibits at some point. So it's incredible what's happened in the 4.5 years since the ASWF was formed from a standing start. It didn't exist. There was nothing like this back at that time. So the community, the contributions, the possibilities created by its very existence, I hope everyone here feels the pride and satisfaction that's so richly deserved. And there's so much more to look forward to, as you'll hear from David and some of our other speakers today. Now, before I cede the podium, a few acknowledgments. This event would not be possible without the dedication and hard work of the Linux Foundation events team. So there's Emily and Deb, and key members of my team, the Science and Technology Council team, Kathleen and Luke, and our gracious partners here at the Academy Museum. So with that, let's get back to business. David?
That was really 45 seconds. Fantastic. So the other person here that was part of the organization that partnered with the Academy of Motion Picture to create the Academy Software Foundation is Jim Zemlin, Executive Director of the Linux Foundation, who are helping us so much in delivering to our industry a lot of value. Jim?
All right, I've been given 2 minutes and been told to be very strict about it. There we go. So I also have my own little chime here. I love this community. You know, as the boss of Linus Torvalds, it is very pleasant to come down and meet developers who are not nearly as ornery and cantankerous as Linus. People are so amazing here. And what I come to ask is a humble request to give us feedback about what your community needs. You know, we went and surveyed 1,500 of the most important software maintainers in the world. These are the people who maintain software that we depend on every day, the world's most critical open source software, from Linux to OpenSSL to so on. They told us they needed three things. One, more time to work on the software development that they love in open source. Two, tools that are similar to the high-end production workflows that they have at their employer. Three, the ability to collaborate with their peers and be recognized for that collaboration. And the Linux Foundation is investing a lot of time and money this year into building tools that will enable those things. New analytics tools that will show when development is happening outside of normal business hours, leading indicators of maintainer burnout, better recognition of developers for the work that they're doing. We're hiring a technical program director to go and curate a set of commercial tools that will be freely available to our projects. Today, we're the world's biggest Slack user, and Slack doesn't charge us a dime in the Kubernetes project. We're going to get cloud credits for folks. When the Linux Foundation asks for this kind of technology, Sneak, as an example, a security tool, gave it to us for free. Why? Because when open source developers use it, they'll bring it home to their company, and there's an opportunity for them to also win. So we're putting together all of these programs, and the number one thing I ask all of you is, tell us what you need. My email is really easy to remember. It's jim@linuxfoundation.com. And with that, I wish you all the best success, and tonight, drinks are on me.
Thank you, Jim. And the third person I want to invite is the person who kicked off the investigation along with Andy about open source software in our industry, and who led that investigation that eventually came to the foundation, and it's our current chairperson, Rob Brideau, who is not here with us. He is in production over in London. There it is. And he's going to be on the screen over there. Rob, you want to say a few words?
Well, thank you so much for having me. Thanks for letting us join remotely. I'm here with, it looks like, a little more than 70 people who are also on the Zoom, so welcome to all of you. As you probably saw in the invite, you're welcome to turn on your cameras if you want to participate with your video turned on. Everyone's welcome to. We built the Academy Software Foundation focused on engineers to make your experience in developing open source software easier and more productive. So you can actually scratch your own itch and have a direct path to some of the most important and powerful open source software that drives our industry. As Jim said, we are all ears for how we can do that better. I hope you'll be inspired by what you're going to hear this afternoon, by some of the success stories, but we have a long way to go. And we would love to learn how we can do that more efficiently and help you succeed as engineers and as people who manage engineers and people who love engineers in our business. And it's an exciting time for innovation and development, and I think the open source environments like this can be key to that. So hope you find that today as well, and thank you, David, for organizing this, and everyone at the Academy Software Foundation who has pulled this together. I think it's going to be a great day.
Thank you, Rob. All right, so the Academy Software Foundation was created in August 2018. This is our roadmap. You've seen it if you've been in one of those conferences before, and we're going to zoom in. The roadmap is made of companies that founded the foundation that were part of the investigation, of projects that were donated, starting with OpenVDB, and up to now, the Open Source Forum 2023. I want to show you some data. So here, this graph represents the contributor growth on all of our projects since back 10 years ago. So back before the foundation was created, we're able to do that thanks to the LFX tools at the Linux Foundation that allow us to go and look at all the GitHubs and put graphs and good information together. So we see that from 10 years ago, the number of contributors to open source software for these projects has grown by a factor of 18. We have 2,400 total contributors that wrote or contributed to this project at this point. We can see when the investigation from the SciTech committee was started in 2016. We can see when the foundation was created in 2018, and we see a nice ramping up curve in terms of the number of engineers joining the effort of building open source software. That's good. Looking at 2022, just last year, this graph represents the data about the commits, the pull requests, and the bugs and new feature requests that have been contributed by various studios. It's kind of a reverse graph. The most contribution is at the bottom, and so winning in this race is the Foundry. Thank you very much, and Pixar Animation doing a lot of pull requests and bugs and new requests. And we see what's interesting about this graph is the diversity of companies now that contribute to open source software within our membership. At this time, it's Autodesk and Lucasfilm and DNEG and DreamWorks and Netflix and Google and Epic Games all working together, which is part of the mission, which is part of why we set up the Academy Software Foundation, so to really give a platform for all these companies to come and do the work that is better done together. So the fundamental work that is not worth repeating 15 times in different places, we can come here and work and do it all together. So that's our membership currently. And you're in the room. Thank you very much for your contribution. These are companies that have gone beyond the call of duty. You don't have to be a member of the foundation to contribute to the projects, to use the projects, to participate in our meetings. By and large, everything we do is open and free. You become a member as a company in the Academy Software Foundation if you really care about this cause and you want to enable it. You want to give the foundation more resources to do what it does, and I'm going to go through the projects, and it'll give you a sense, the projects and the working groups, it'll give you a sense of all the activity that we can always plus if we have more funds and if we have more engineers. So you become a member, you care about that, you want to contribute, and there's great success, there are great value stories about that. But beyond companies, there's the people, and the people of those companies that come together in our board meeting, the premier members. These are real people that do real work. We had the board meeting this morning, as I mentioned. We do more than check our mission on ChatGPT. We talk a lot about other things. And this board is the one active board. Very often that boards are there to give a stamp of approval once a month, but this board is really committed to the mission that we have, and they work together, and they get to know each other as we work together. And we also have governing board alternates. So when you become when you're a premier member and you become part of the board, you elect a board member, but also an alternate, someone who can replace you if you're not available, and you can also groom or help to eventually replace you altogether when you get to your term limits, which is something that we implemented this year to make sure that we have change and we make room in our board to include more diversity in the board itself. And the beating heart of the foundation and the brains is the TAC, the Technical Advisory Council, where the engineers are and where all of our projects are. And so led by Kimball Thurston, who couldn't be here with us today. Kimball is online. He was caught into he avoided the hurricane in New Zealand, but couldn't make it, but he's with us over in the Zoom. And all these people from the TAC are doing the work. They're really coordinating the work of many more engineers that are working on all of our projects. So thank you to the TAC, thank you to the board, the alternates. You know, what you do is awesome, and the foundation is who you are. The structure of the foundation is like this. So there's a governing board on the side and an outreach committee, marketing committee led by Emily Olin, and that we have, and the TAC is the place where all the engineers get together to help coordinate all of the projects. So this year in 2022, we have 3 more projects to the right that joined our group of projects, and we'll talk about them a little bit more. These are our projects with each one its own personality, and I'm going to go quickly, very quickly, through each one of them with one quick highlight. But first, I want to go into the project release map. So this, in 2022, Between 8 of our projects, we had 42, actually 40 if you go from February to February, project released during the year. The logos that you see corresponds to the project we saw on the previous slide. And we also have working groups. So I want first to talk about the working groups that we have, starting with, we have a CI, Continuous Integration Working Group, and chaired by Jean-François Panisset, who is doing a great job. And this is one of our fundamental working group, looking and investigating into tools, procedure, and service used by all of our projects. So as we're building a platform, we have all these 13 projects and more in the future, and we want them to get on the platform that is uniform between all of them. There's a lot there. I'm not going to read that. The breaking news is that now the CI working group is VFX platform compliant with our ASF Docker containers. Moving on quickly, we have a working group on diversity and inclusion. There's a lot of good stories here that we could tell in terms of how the diversity and inclusion working group helped us from the beginning, where most of our board members were all white men, to where we are now with a lot more diversity into our board and throughout our foundation. It is led by Carol Payne and Rachel Rose. Thank you, Carol and Rachel, for all the work that you do with the team. And they're working on things like the summer learning program 2023, where the applications are launching now, and we're looking for people to come and join the summer learning program. We have a Rust working group, and Rust is to create a tool to create a framework for their goal is to build Rust binding for libraries, and this is a working group that has been going on for about a year, and now looking at engaging the community with surveys and outreach to determine their next focus. And our working group are like that. They're set up for going into a particular topic and researching it. And we have a USD working group. USD working group is very active. It has 678 participants and 5 sub-working group on camera, games, material X, asset, and web visualization, all related to USD. We encourage you to join that working group and see what's going on. You can go on our website, get involved, working groups. You have all the links to get involved to any one of these. And the projects are the actual software projects that are that have gone through the process of transferring the IP to the foundation. I'm going to go quickly through them in order of when they joined. So the first project to join the foundation was OpenVDB. It is chaired by Ken Musset. Thank you for that. And they have recent development. The OpenVDB link provide a Mathematica interface, and in terms of their roadmap for 2023, early discussion with the Autodesk Bifrost team. We have OpenColor.io that joined shortly in the first year. The chairperson is Carol Payne. Thank you, Carol. The goal is to be a complete color management solution geared toward motion picture production, and this is one of our projects that pretty much everyone in animation and visual effects use to ensure color accuracy throughout the pipeline. And they're breaking news that the native implementation of OCIO in Adobe After Effects was just released in version 23.2. And we have OpenQ, chaired by Brian Cipriano. The goal is to develop an open source renderer management system that is in full operation at Sony Picture Imageworks. And so all of the movie coming out of Sony are using OpenQ. OpenTimeline.io, which was gifted to the foundation by Pixar, with Josh Miner as the chair. Very active group. You see the list of integration for OpenTimeline.io, which is an interchange for editorial timeline, and the list of integration is growing. People are adopting OpenTimeline.io. When you think about it, why rewrite a timeline if you're doing a new product? Why? And companies have been doing that all the time, rewriting a new timeline. Now you can adopt OpenTimeline.io, which provide a lot of tools and a lot of value, and even replace your aging timeline with OpenTimeline.io. Breaking news, the Animal Logic A-Lab trailer has been contributed to DeepL, our digital project example library that I'll talk about in a second. Then OpenEXR. OpenEXR is our grand Jedi of projects. It was created 20 years ago. The project is chaired by Carrie Phillips. And their goal by now is to keep the XR image format reliable and modern. Our entire industry is relying on OpenEXR. Every movie we see, every animation movie, use OpenEXR as a transport mechanism for high dynamic range image and more. So their role is to really make sure that it's rock solid as they're adding from time to time new functionalities, and every vendor and every companies are already using or adopting OpenEXR. The open shading language, chaired by Chris Kula, is a shading language specification for modern production renderers. And their breaking news, Intel collaboration on the design of SPR5 backend. And I'm going to speed up. Material X, chaired by Jonathan Stone, is a key project at this moment in time, as there is a lot of discussion between outside of our industry for things about the metaverse and interoperability for interactive media. The subject of material often comes up, and Material X is a mature, by now, project that has a lot to contribute in this space. Jonathan Stone is doing a great job representing the project along with his colleague, and there's a new Open Material X graph editor that they just put out, as well as a new Apple Material X collaboration. Res is one of our latest projects, chaired by Alan Johns. Latest development is to oversee the implementation of the Res package at most studio, and they have a new integration with AWS and ThinkBox. DeepL, the digital production example library, chaired by Eric Anderton. There you are, Eric. It's provide production-grade sample asset for R&D, and there is a presentation later this afternoon, 4004 Moore Lane, at 3 p.m. today. OpenFX is also one of our new projects who's been providing for quite some time a standard plugin architecture and interface for VFX application, chaired by Gary Oberbrunner. OpenAsset.io, a new project that joined us this year in Sandbox, chaired by Tom Colland, and is planning to have their first release at SIGGRAPH. And the Open Review Initiative, last but not least, chaired by Eric Strauss. We will hear a lot this afternoon about the Open Review and Autodesk having open sourced their RV product, and DNEG having open sourced their internal X Studio system, a story that we love and is a sign for the future. So this is the program. I'm not going to go through this. I want to get to our keynote speaker. I want to thank everyone who are presenting at our open source forum today. You'll see them this afternoon. And here, our mission, now under ChatGPT. I'm not going to go through it, except just the first one. Listen up, y'all. It's time to hear about the forum that's so sincere for open source software devs to share and collaborate on media everywhere. That's pretty good. And there's more. In the interest of time, I'm not going to read them all. One that came on top is this one. Artists unite here, tech for visual storytelling, open source magic. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah. And so, with that, I would like to introduce our keynote speaker,